You manifested the podcast, so why are you panicking 3 episodes in? I cannot even tell you how many times this happened to me. I reach out to somebody about launching a podcast or expanding their platform. It feels completely aligned, heart-centered, intuitive, and they say something like, I was just asking the universe for help with this, or I was just thinking about starting a podcast, or I literally just prayed for support like this. And I smile and I nod because from my side, I was calling them in too, and it feels electric and divinely orchestrated, and it's like we manifested each other. And then 3 episodes in, something shifts, and suddenly it's, how many downloads did I get? And why didn't anyone sign up for my free offer? And is this even working? And I thought more people would be reaching out. And just like that, we've gone from trust to literally strangling the manifestation. And if you've launched a podcast or a visibility platform, you probably maybe know what I'm talking about. And I am speaking from personal experience as well. I'm not just speaking from like something I witness in other people. I've caught myself doing this exact same thing. And so I really want to unpack what's happening and what I know and what I'm learning. And so when you first start a podcast, you're in pure energy. You feel called, you feel clear, you feel inspired, you feel in service, you feel confident that you have something to share. So you invest, you move, you take the leap, and that energy is forward moving, it's powerful, and it's magnetic, right? We've all had that, whether it's a podcast or not. We've all had that thing where we take that inspired action forward and it feels so good. But then, here's in the podcasting, back to the podcasting thing, here's what happens. Like the numbers show up. And instead of how can I serve? How can I convert? What am I inspired to share? It becomes, what topic is going to get me clients? Why isn't this happening faster, right? Or, is anyone actually listening? And what's happened, the way I can describe this is our energy has shifted from giving to getting, and from service to scarcity and doubt. And that's where things start to wobble. And we get into an overthinking spiral, and I get into these a lot, so I'm very familiar with it. And so you start doing the math and you start doing the conversions of like, if I was reaching this many people and I converted 1 or 2%, then I should have had this many people. And you analyze every download and you check metrics obsessively. And then you start to question yourself and your message and your voice and how you're doing it. And everything that made this such a powerful move to begin with gets buried under this level of pressure. And I want to say over strategy, because I don't want to say that there shouldn't ever be strategy involved in this. 1,000%. This isn't just like willy-nilly. Like there has to be some strategy to this, but there's a line here. And I feel like we get into the overthinking, over strategy part way too quickly. And then we disconnect from our true power and our true being. And so what I think is happening is it's an identity issue. And the more I'm learning about self and identity and beliefs and how that plays like an enormous role in everything around us, I'm seeing the potholes that I continually have been stepping in, and I'm seeing others step in them. And so that's hence why recording this for you. I'm hoping it will help. So we manifested this opportunity, but if we haven't fully embodied the identity of the person that's like living in that opportunity, we haven't fully embodied the identity of the successful teacher, the successful healer, the successful coach, the successful podcaster, if we haven't truly embodied that identity, we're going to sabotage it all with doubt. And so the inspired action and that big leap wasn't the hard part. It's staying in the identity and or continuing to become the person that trusts that move, that trusts the message, that believes you're worthy of being heard, that doesn't need instant validation. I'm working on that one. That, knows that your work matters before results show up. That's the hard work. That's the work that I'm currently working. I am by no means mastered it yet, but I am currently working on it and improving every day. And that's what prompted me to take this level of inspired action and share it with you. Because if we don't shift into that identity of, the leader, the voice, the power, then the first, quiet week or the first time we don't get the result we're looking for, we start to question everything. And then we start to speak a new negative reality, like this isn't working, no one's listening, maybe I'm not cut out for this was the wrong move, I shouldn't have made this investment, what a waste, right? You've probably been there. And so by doing that, to going that place, we're literally actively creating that reality then. And that's the thing that I'm still like wrapping my mind around, and I'm shifting like big time currently, because I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not creating that kind of reality anymore. So patterns to recognize, just some, I guess, things to think about. You desire something, you align with it, it shows up in your world, you get excited, you start monitoring it, then you tighten your grip on it, then you start to doubt, and then you start to question, and then energetically we've pushed it all away. Does that sound familiar to you? Because I cannot even begin to tell you how many times I have done that. From a sales point of view, I have done that where I'm like, ooh, this person responded to my email and they want to schedule a call with me. I'm like, ooh, how exciting. And then we schedule the call and it's like super aligned and I'm like super excited. And then I send a proposal and then I don't hear from them then like immediately after or even by the next day. And then I start to, then there's a lever, I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe let me check my email like every 5 minutes to see if they respond to me, right? I'm monitoring it. And then I start to tighten my grip and I'm like, okay, well, let me just follow up today. Let me just follow up tomorrow. Let me see what I could follow up with. What could I say to them that's going to get them to respond to me? Where's their phone number? Maybe I should call them or text them. And then I'm starting to doubt. I'm starting to doubt that they were actually excited. I'm starting to doubt that I did a good job on the sales call. I'm starting to doubt that they are really actually interested and question whether or not they're actually going to do this. And all of that, this whole time is energetically pushing that whole thing away. So I'm literally like squeezing the life out of it. And so if you've been there, if you've done that, I get it because I'm working on it too. But what I think, and if we go deeper, a deeper level of that is what's underneath all of that is a deeper fear. And I think for me, it's, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Did I do a good enough job on that? Did I say or do something that like made them not want to work with us? Right? Or here's a big one that is actually even hard to admit. What if I sell them this and they invest in it and it doesn't work for them? Whew. That is an unrealistic amount of pressure to put on myself. I mean, so let me flip this. If you're an entrepreneur or a coach or a healer or something like that, have you ever had that where you're like, what if they buy my services and it doesn't work? Right? I mean, like that. The energy of even saying that out loud just feels yucky, right? Like that's such deep-rooted doubt and fear to go to that place. And so that's a hard thing to admit. But I feel like once we can admit it, then we can rise above it. We can heal from it. We can shift it. We can do all the things with it, right? And so just pausing right here, is there something in your life that you could unpack that with? Okay, so what do we do about it? So like if you're like me and you just kind of admitted that right now, maybe for the first time, what are we going to do about it? I'm starting to journal more than I ever have in my entire life. I mean, I'm playing with different ways to do it, but I'm starting to like really kind of coach myself through a journaling practice where I'm like, what outcome am I like really holding on to? And why do I believe this outcome is the only proof of success? And why am I afraid? What does this mean about me if it doesn't work? Really digging into that. And it's usually about, again, back to my own self-identity and my own self-worth. And so I do believe the way through that is seeing it, acknowledging it, putting it out there, and then returning ourselves back to the place of service. So from a sales perspective, it's like, also reminding myself of all the good things, right? Reminding myself of all the successes I've seen and all the great things that have happened to people in doing this work. And I'm like, okay, yes, like this really does work, right? I have to remind myself of that. And then also relieve myself of the burden, because I know that this does work. And so if it doesn't work for them, then that's on them, right? Like they need to take accountability for why and what's blocking them, kind of the same work that we're going through, right? So I have to remove that burden from myself. I tend to be the type of person that takes too much responsibility and too much burden for other people when that is like completely not necessary. And so when we return to this place of being in service to someone else, and this knowing and this trusting that this service can and does help people, we can just get back to like, how can I serve today? How can I help someone today? And we start to then get back to creating and being in a place of inspiration. We get to speak in a way that feels alive and get back to this real truth and identity of this powerful person on a mission, right? Of why we did this in the first place. And so, embodying that person takes effort and work and mindfulness and practice. And so we have to do the work and understand ourself and trust ourself and being consistent, even in the moments where we don't see everything in our reality yet. And we have to be confident without constant validation. And that's like the big thing I'm working on, is giving myself validation. And we have to still be able to take aligned action from a place of belief and knowing. And that's sometimes for me easier said than done, because I can feel inauthentic and I can feel like I'm pretending. And I've seen that a lot, even in watching some of the support in the videos that I can, or books and things that I consume, and I'm like, affirmations, blah, 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 but like oftentimes a lot of that stuff feels really inauthentic. And so a resource I want to point you to is House of Manifestation. Kathleen Cameron, you can look her up on YouTube. She's got like a gazillion videos on there that all are very helpful, but she also has programs and a membership where she's got like these really great courses. And that's something that I'm working through in her stuff currently, is when sometimes this work for me feels inauthentic and how to move through that. So I by no means can tell you how to do that yet, because I'm currently working on it. But if you want to check out that resource, I've got it linked in my podcast notes here as well. But I do know it's about, watching ourselves and our language. And, when we're saying things like, this isn't working, we're just reinforcing that story by staying, what if we said, this is building, things are unfolding, it's reaching the right people, I'm trusting the process. So we're not necessarily lying by saying those things. Like outside of all of this, an example, I talked about this on a couple of episodes, but I hurt my ankle in December, and it's now, by the time this podcast comes out, it's coming out in March, but it's the end of February when I'm recording it, and it's still healing. I am healing. I have to figure out how to say this. When people ask me, how's your ankle? For a long time, I was like, it for real still freaking hurts, or it's still not good. And I realized like I was reinforcing that reality this whole time. And I want to say a week ago, like realized this work of like everything I'm doing in manifestation and business and sales is like exactly applicable to what I'm doing about my ankle. And so instead of telling people that it's still not better and that it hurts and that I'm frustrated, I just started telling people that it's healing. It's getting better every day. My ankle is getting better every day. I'm making progress every day, and it's healing. And I shit you not, sorry for cursing, but like this actually is kind of just having this realization now. This week, I woke up, and I believe it was Sunday or Monday, I woke up this week, And I had more range of motion in my ankle and less pain in my ankle than I have had in literally 2 months. And the only thing I changed was the way I'm talking about it. So believe me or don't believe me, but I believe it's because I shifted my identity and I shifted the way I was talking about how my ankle is healing. And I woke up after, a week of doing that and all of a sudden had like a massive shift in like this day to this day, massive quantum leap in how my ankle feels. And I've continued throughout this week to have it feel better and better and better. And so I'm literally proving to myself about how what we are speaking into our reality matter. Okay, so now to, I don't know if it's like a last piece of this, but a piece I want to acknowledge in this because it's something that as I'm going through the laws of the universe and learning about these laws, one of the things that fascinates me is the law of compensation. Because I think one of the things that is going to help us when we are in a business and in service and putting things out there and helping people, and we're, whoopsie daisy, getting like doubt and fear and all these things, we have to remember about the law of compensation because it's a real thing. And so here's what I know about it. If you consistently create value, if you are genuinely, authentically in service, and if you stay in alignment with that person you are being, you will attract the people that are meant for you. They may not buy immediately. They may not comment right away. They may not announce themselves boldly and loudly immediately. And you're that instant gratification, instant validation. But they are watching, they are listening, and they are being impacted by you. And that impact compounds. And the law of compensation means you will be compensated for that service. You will be. It's a law. It's a universal law. And so if you can remember that, then you stay in that service. It's a long game of identity and expansion. So I'm reminding myself in real time, stay in that service because we will be compensated for that service. Okay, so all of that to say, I hope this brought something to light for you. I hope that something I said in here can help you on your journey, get you through some of the doubt and the fear that comes up, and just remind you that you're resilient, you're powerful. There is absolute magic in the universe if we're willing to see it. And so, next time you ask yourself, is this working or is this working fast enough? I would rather have you ask the question, am I becoming the person capable of holding what I asked for? Because that's real manifestation. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for choosing the possibility perspective, choosing trust, choosing to go on this journey with me, choosing to release doubt with me and work through these things with me. And I wish you an amazing rest of your day, week, month, and I hope you stay connected as we continue this journey. Bye for now. Hey, before you go, make sure you've subscribed to the podcast wherever you're getting it and leave a comment and let me know that you were here. I really appreciate that. If this resonated with you, share it because it will probably help someone else. And the more people we can reach, the better. So thanks again for being here and I'll see you next time.